funny how people only start caring once you've stopped bleeding for them. You were there, always, quietly holding things together, smiling when it hurt, explaining yourself to people who were never really listening, begging for crumbs of basic respect like it was a luxury. But the second you pull away, suddenly, they miss you. They start calling your silence cold, your distance dramatic. But you know what it really is? Peace, boundaries, growth. Finally. Today, we're going to break down what people really feel when you walk away, and why that feeling has less to do with love, and more to do with control, ego, and emotional addiction. Let's go deep. 1. You were their cushion, not their person. Let's call it what it was. They didn't love you. They loved the way you softened the impact of their mess. You weren't a partner. You were their emotional shock absorber. You tiptoed around their moods, absorbed their tantrums, tolerated disrespect dressed up as just how I am, and forgave sins they never even acknowledged. While you were busy shrinking yourself to fit into their broken world, they were handing you crumbs like they were gourmet meals. But then, one day you stopped. You finally realized you weren't born to be someone's emotional punching bag. Now they're calling you selfish, dramatic, cold. No. You just stopped signing up for the role of unpaid therapist in someone else's chaos. And honestly, that's not selfish. That's self-respect. 2. What they really miss is access. When people say, "I miss you," pause, because 9 times out of 10, they're not missing you. They're missing the version of you who swallowed pain in silence, the one who laughed off being ignored, the one who showed up, even when you were invisible. They miss the access they once had to your time, your energy, your kindness. They miss the emotional safety net you became while they played catch with your boundaries. They miss convenience, not connection, comfort, not commitment. And when you finally walked away, it wasn't love they lost, it was power. Power they had over someone who used to call self-sacrifice loyalty. And that's what stings them the most. Not your absence, but their sudden inability to use it. 3. Disappearing is the loudest thing you'll ever do. You don't need to explain. No monologues, no long texts, no emotional PowerPoint presentation about why you're done. Just, disappear quietly, calmly. Like someone who finally remembered they have wings. Because here's the truth. Your absence will scream louder than any confrontation ever could. It's like when Wi-Fi suddenly goes out in a house full of people. Panic, confusion, frustration. They never thanked it when it was there, but the moment it's gone, they feel lost. That's what your energy was, a lifeline they took for granted. Now that you've taken it back, they're left fumbling in the cold, wondering when it got this quiet. But you're already gone, and that is the closure. 4. Emotional withdrawal is a revolution. You want to shake the world? Don't scream. Don't plot revenge. Just stop feeling for the wrong people. The real revolution is when your emotions clock out. No warning, no drama, just done. No more caring for those who fed off your empathy like it was endless. When you finally stop hoping they'll change, when your heart quietly packs up and leaves the building, that is rebellion. Because the most terrifying thing to toxic people is losing their grip on someone who used to bend. They can't control someone who's no longer afraid to leave. And now, you're free. And they're powerless. 5. The collapse of the story they told themselves. Walking away isn't just an exit. It's an earthquake. You don't just leave the room. You rip the script right out of their hands. They were the hero in their version. You, the overly sensitive sidekick. But now, without you, the story falls flat. No one's clapping. No one's buying the act. They're left staring into the silence, forced to confront the twist they never saw coming. Maybe they weren't the good one after all. And that realization, that's the punishment. Not your anger, not your words, just the mirror you left behind. 6. Most people confuse attention with affection. Let's be brutally honest. Chasing someone after they've walked away doesn't always mean love. It often means panic, ego, guilt. They're not mourning you. They're mourning the loss of control. You see, most people don't know the difference between affection and attention. They ignored your presence, dismissed your value, tested your patience like it had no limit. Why? Because deep down, they never believed you'd leave. You were the constant, the fallback plan. But then you actually did it. And what's left? A silence so peaceful. It doesn't feel like a bluff. It feels like freedom, and that scares the hell out of them. 7. The silent exit is a love letter to yourself. You leaving is not a betrayal. It's a love letter to the part of you that was always begging to be chosen by you. And that's something most people can't understand, because they've never learned how to choose themselves. They've only learned how to keep others around out of fear. So when you leave with no drama, no bitterness, you show them what it means to be whole without apology. And that kind of freedom is terrifying to anyone who's still trapped in performance. So, what do they feel when you walk away? Confusion, anger, sudden clarity, and a deep, ugly fear that maybe they were the reason all along. But you don't walk away to hurt them. You walk away to stop hurting yourself. You walk away because you finally realized you were never hard to love. You were just surrounded by people who needed you broken to feel whole. So leave, quietly, powerfully, finally, not to prove a point, but because your peace doesn't need an audience.